Unconscious programs are running every area of our lives. But the best thing that we can do in order to help ourselves is to make sure that the unconscious program running in the background is going to be based on empowering beliefs. Hello, it's Annie B, and it's time for another Annie B show. Today, I'm going to be talking about how you see yourself and how important that is. I talked about how we have these limiting beliefs that can really hold us back, and how in order to get rid of the limiting beliefs that have been holding us back, even for years and years and years, many of us have limiting beliefs that have been holding us back for years and years and years. I had mine holding me back. So in order to get rid of that limiting belief so that it stopped holding me back, first I had to discover it, which I did that during an artist retreat. I was digging deep, and then I had to start replacing it with more empowering beliefs. And so there is this thing called the confirmation bias. Confirmation bias is actually very, very prevalent. I looked up the definition. It's the tendency to interpret new evidence as confirmation of one's existing beliefs or theories. And like I said, it's very, very prevalent. So the danger of confirmation bias, when you have a view of yourself that is not positive, that is not based on all these positive things that you'd like to have for yourself, then this confirmation bias is actually going to have a very negative effect on your life. This happens because we are bombarded with 11 million bits of information at any given second through what we see, what we hear, what we taste, what we smell, what we sense, what other people are saying to us. Anything that we take in is part of those 11 million bits of information at every second. And our conscious mind only has the capability to process 40 to 50 of those bits. So the other 10,999,950 bits becomes victim of the confirmation bias, because we distort, generalize, and even delete information that is not congruent with our current beliefs, with the current framework that we are running in the background. And that's how the confirmation bias works. That's why it's so prevalent. So in order for us to have a confirmation bias that is based on a more positive belief, because it's very difficult to get away from the confirmation bias. We can pay attention to when we think we might be using the confirmation bias to make a judgment about something or the way that we're seeing something. This is a really good practice to try and keep that confirmation bias in the back of your mind. Like, am I using the confirmation bias? Am I using my unconscious programs to make a judgment about this thing that's right in front of me? But the best thing that we can do in order to help ourselves is to make sure that the unconscious program running in the background is going to be based on empowering beliefs, empowering ways that you see yourself, empowering thoughts about your abilities. So the way that you see yourself is going to have an effect on your every day, your every moment. In fact, the way you see yourself can have such a negative effect. That is probably the biggest reason why 70%, they've done research on this, 70% of lottery winners end up broke or bankrupt a couple years after winning the lottery. Because most of the people that win the lottery have the wrong mindset about how they handle money. They see themselves as unable to handle money correctly, as unable to leverage money that they do get into their lives. And so that's why after just a couple of years, 70% of lottery winners end up bankrupt. Their ability to change the way they see themselves once they have won the lottery is something that they're not even aware of. They're not even aware that the fact that the way that they look at how they handle money is probably very unhealthy. And it's probably going to make it very difficult for them to manage these big lottery winnings. They don't even think about it. They don't realize that this is happening when they win the lottery. They don't address it. They don't know that it's something that they have to address because it's an unconscious thing. Their belief that they have about the way they handle money, it's not something that's even on their radar screen. Playing the lottery could be very dangerous for these people because they could actually end up in a much worse situation than the situation they were in before they even bought the winning ticket. I recently talked about how important it is that you pay attention to the thoughts that you have before you go to sleep. Before you go to sleep is a great time to start having the positive, empowering thoughts that you want to have about yourself, about your future, and about your abilities. All right, so this is a habit that I want you to start incorporating into your daily life, because when you go to sleep, those thoughts that you were having right before you fell asleep are then being worked on by your unconscious mind, so that when you wake up the next day, those thoughts are a little bit more starting to take over that unconscious program that we so desperately, most of us, need to change. These unconscious programs are running every area of our lives. So what you can do is think about all the different areas of your life that you'd like to see improvements in. So here's a really good little exercise for you. You can take a piece of paper and draw a line down the middle. And what you want to put on one side of the paper is current beliefs. Okay? You can do this for every area of your life. You can do this for your relationships, your marriage, your relationships with your children, your relationships in general with friends and other people in your life. You can do this with your career. You can do this with the money, the abundance when it comes to money in your life. So write down the current beliefs that you think that you might have that could be limiting for you. So let's pretend that I have a current belief that says I'm not making the kind of money that I want to make right now. I don't want you to stop here, because there's a whole bunch of other beliefs that are related to why you feel like you're not making the money that you want to make right now. Number 2, maybe a belief that you have is it's difficult for me to grow my business. You might have another belief that says no one or very few people will want to pay me for my services. Let's say you're a dog walker or something like that. So you could have these 3 beliefs that are going on when it comes to having a successful business as a dog walker. Let's say you want to make 6 figures. There are people making 6 figures as dog walkers. You got to know how to build your business. So I'm not making the money that I want to make right now is current belief number 1. Current belief number 2, it's difficult for me to grow my business. And current belief number 3, no one or very few people will want to pay me for my services. So then what we're going to do is we're going to replace every single one of these beliefs with an empowering belief, a new empowering belief. All right, so number 1, we're going to replace this belief with something like, I know that I will be making the money that I want to be making very soon. Okay, let's talk about current belief number 2. It's difficult for me to grow my business. I am learning how to grow my business, and it's getting easier the more I learn. All right, so that's a really good replacement for belief number 2. Number 3. So how are we going to replace current belief number 3? No one or very few people will want to pay me for my services. Many people who can see the value of what I offer are very willing and happy to pay me for my services. All right, so actually you could take a little screenshot of this if you are a business owner doing almost anything, right? The third belief that we are going to start telling ourselves is many people who can see the value of what I offer are very willing and happy to pay me for my services. So these are things that I want you to start not only saying them to yourself, but you also have to start acting in alignment with these things that you're saying to yourself. So I know that I'll be making the money that I want very soon. So in order for you to have activities that are aligned with I know that I'll be making the money that I want very soon, is you can start looking at products and things that you want to purchase to help you when you are growing and building your business. There might be, packages like a welcome gifts and things like that. You might start just shopping. You don't have to purchase anything yet, but just start thinking about these things. Start thinking about how you're going to add value. If you're a dog walker or a pet sitter, maybe you want to have a little welcome package for all of the new clients that come in, or have a 1-year little anniversary thank you gift. Start shopping for these things. Like I said, you don't have to purchase the things right now, but just by thinking about these things and thinking, oh yeah, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to do. And you're putting that out into the universe so that that energy can then come back to you in that way. I'm learning how to grow my business, and it's getting easier the more I learn. So what are you going to do in order to have congruence and alignment with belief number 2? I'm learning how to grow my business. So you might want to do some research on how to grow. I'm sure there are many courses or other resources that you could use to learn how to grow a very successful pet sitting business or a very successful dog walking business, so that you are actually learning how to grow your business. You could look for groups online, meetup groups or Facebook groups where there are communities of people who are doing the same thing that you are, and start exchanging ideas, start helping each other out in these Facebook groups, learning from the other people who have successful businesses. You might interview somebody who lives in a different state so that you're not in competition with them. You might interview them on how they built their business. Start building friends with other people who have successful businesses and learn from them. Start making win-win relationships with them. Of course, you want to have a win-win relationship with all the people that you start to build relationships. And that is a completely different topic that I could have a whole video about that. Number 3, many people who can see the value of what I offer are very willing and happy to pay me for my services. So how are you going to start acting in alignment with empowering belief number 3? You might want to reach out to other people who have hired pet sitters and dog walkers. Maybe not in your local market, because the people that they hire are actually your direct competition. But with these Facebook groups, you might also find a way to have conversations with people who have hired pet sitters and dog walkers in other cities, other areas where you're not going to be in competition with the people that they hire. Find out, what do they like about their dog walker and their pet sitter? What is working so that they are happy and willing to pay for these services, and start adopting some of these things into what you offer. So having your empowering beliefs is a really great first step on how you can start viewing yourself as the person that you would like to be. Having these empowering beliefs is going to be step number 1 in you actually making these things happen, manifesting these things. While you are having these beliefs right before you go to bed, a really important piece of the puzzle is gratitude. And so you might say, I'm so grateful that I know that I'll be making the money that I want very soon. I'm so grateful that I'm learning how to grow my business, and it's getting easier the more I learn. I'm so grateful that many people who can see the value of what I offer are very willing and happy to pay me for my services. The gratitude is actually a very important piece of the puzzle. And I'm going to talk a lot about gratitude on my next show. So I hope to see you then. Have a wonderful rest of your day. And thank you for tuning in. Please like and subscribe and share. And I'm very grateful that I got to spend this time with you today.
Working hard